Hello friends, welcome back to JK Shah classes. This is Professor Nihit Zaveri. Today we will be revising this chapter called Rectification of Mistake. Rectification of mistake is governed by two sections, section 154 and 155. What is relevant from exam perspective is only 154, 155 is totally unimportant. In 154, the title is Rectification of Mistakes which are apparent on record. Apparent on record means something which is glaring on the face of the record, something which anybody can say is a mistake. But where exactly should be the mistake? Mistake not in IT return or the notice, but the mistake in either an order or three types of intimation. Order can be any order. Order could be assessment order, reassessment order, penalty order, recomputation order. Mistake apparent in an order or three types of intimation. Intimation for IT return under 143(1) or intimation with regards to TDS or TCS quarterly statement under 200A subsection 1 for TDS statements or TCS statement under 206 CB. Mistake in these orders or intimation can be rectified by the concerned income tax authority by way of passing a rectified order. New order will have to be passed. What is important is the time limit to pass such a rectified order. But before that, understand what can be rectified is only a mistake apparent on record. Anything which is a debatable issue on which two different plausible interpretations are possible cannot be regarded as a mistake. Accordingly, cannot be rectified under this section. Here, there should be mistake apparent on record. Plausible interpretations means strongly arguable on both the sides. That kind of interpretation possible cannot be regarded as a mistake. Mistake apparent on record can be rectified by passing rectifier order that we already discussed. Now, who can rectify the mistake? Answer: mistake can be rectified by income tax authority on his own motion, suo motu, or on an application made by such assessee, deductor of tax or collector of tax. If deductor, collector or assessee makes an application, then there is no form number prescribed and there is no fees payable, free of cost, totally free of cost and on a plain piece of paper. However, those who file IT return online, they will have to apply for rectification also online. What is the time limit? Time limit is the most important, governed by 154 subsection 7. Mistake can be rectified by income tax authority within a period of 4 years from the end of the financial year in which the order containing mistake was passed, or order containing mistake which is sought to be rectified was passed. Now, this time limit of 4 years will be subject to some case law which is Supreme Court decision, but before that, understand order once rectified can be rectified again also. The way we file revised return under 139(5) within the time limit of 3 months before the end of assessment year or before completion of assessment. Here, how many times can we file revised return? As we discussed, unlimited number of times, but within the overall time limit. Same way here, income tax authority can carry out rectification unlimited number of times, but rectified order can also be rectified n number of times, but subject to time limit. The time limit will not be exactly this way. Time limit will be calculated in a slightly different way based on Supreme Court decision of Hindwire Industries. Understand, order is passed by AO on 18 December 2019, which is financial year 1920. So 1920 plus 4 years, order can be rectified up to 31st March 2024. So AO rectified it say on 18 December 23, which is financial year 23-24. This order you might think that can be rectified again, but within the same time limit, the way we discussed for revised return. But it's not like that. If AO wants to rectify this order, you will probably say 31st March 24, same time limit should be applied. But answer will not be 31st March 24, answer will be 31st March 2028. That is 4 years from the end of this year in which rectified order was passed. Supreme Court stated that every rectified order will keep on giving rise to 4 more years. Reason: Supreme Court said in 154 subsection 7, it is mentioned that time limit is 4 years from the end of that financial year in which order containing mistake was passed. And that order containing mistake need not necessarily be this original order. It could be this rectified order also containing mistake. Simply, every rectified order which contains some other mistake will keep on giving rise to 4 more years. Can be rectified up to 31st March 2028 as per Hindwire Industries Limited versus CIT 1995 Supreme Court. Supreme Court stated the time limit is 4 years from the end of the year in which order containing mistake which is sought to be rectified was passed, which could be the original order or it could be rectified order containing mistake. Okay, now if assessee, deductor or collector applies, then section 154 subsection 8 says that the time limit for income tax authority will be 6 months to pass the rectifier order. If assessee, deductor, collector applies, then agreed earlier time limit was 4 years from the end of the financial year. Apart from that, this time limit will also apply. If assessee applies, then 6 months from the end of the month in which application was received from assessee. Meaning thereby 4 years is something 48 months. Assessing officer cannot say I will pass later on. If assessee has applied, he has to finish the work within 6 months. However, this 154.8 and 154.7 both have to be read in conjunction with each other. Meaning thereby, let's try to understand the interplay between the two. What happens is, if time limit is 48 months as per section 154.7, in case out of 48 months, if let's say 20 months have lapsed, this much is lapsed and now assessee applies, 28 months are left out, this is the time limit left as per 154 subsection 7, and now assessee applies. If assessee applies, then time limit shall be 6 months from the end of the month in which assessee made application. Which time limit shall be applied? 154.7 or 8? Answer, both combined together. Ultimately, time limit will be lower of the two. If this is the scene, then AO will have to pass the order within 6 months. However, second scenario, time limit originally is 48 months as per 154.7. Out of that, if let's say 47 months have lapsed, only 1 month is left. 1 month is left and assessee applies, then 6 months time limit should be available to AO. Now which time limit will apply? 1 month left as per section 154.7, 6 months available as per 154 subsection 8. Answer, whichever is lower. In such situation, AO will have to finish the work within next 1 month. AO cannot say I still have 6 more months just because assessee has applied. Assessee can apply online in case if IT return was filed online. If IT return was filed offline, that is in a paper form, then rectification application will also have to be in a paper form. So this time limit of 6 months will be subject to time limit given in 154.7. Accordingly, AO will have to pass the order. There is one, apart from Supreme Court decision that we discussed, there is one CBDT circular. CBDT circular of 1972, which is not relevant from exam perspective, so I have not covered in your notes. Supreme Court decision of Hindware Industry is relevant, important from exam perspective, but the CBDT circular is not that important. CBDT said once the person applies within the overall time limit of 4 years, but within the statutory time limit, but if income tax authorities do not dispose it off within the time limit given in 154.7. This specially happens when assessee applies on the last moment. When last 1 month is left out, assessee applies, or last day, 1 day before the expiry of due date, assessee applies, AO unable to rectify in 1 day, but 6 months available. In such situation, it's not that AO cannot pass the order. AO will have to pass the order even after expiry of 4 years statutory time limit on merits and in accordance with the law. However, this circular is not relevant from exam perspective. Then 10 points says that if the rectification has the effect of increasing the tax liability or reducing the refund of the assessee, then such rectification can be carried out, but only after giving opportunity of being heard. Otherwise, such rectification cannot be carried out. Which increases the tax liability or reduces the refund? Every rectifier order is appealable to either CIT appeal, JCIT appeal or ITAT, depending upon who has passed the order. Okay, now very interesting point. We know pretty well every order is appealable under this section, passed under this section is appealable. But now we are talking about original order, original assessment order under 143.3, could be under any section. I am taking example of 143.3. So there will be two orders passed by AO. One is original order and another one is rectified order. So this order can also be appealed against, this order can also be appealed against separately. Both of them will have their own time limit. So suppose any original order contains 17 contentious issues, 17 debatable issues. Out of 17, assessee files appeal on 12 issues, does not file appeal on 5 issues, no appeal filed. So these 12 issues will now be pending, not before AO, will be pending before CIT appeal, JCIT appeal or ITAT, etc. then in such situation it's been provided in the Act that for these 12 issues, Income Tax Authority, that is AO, should not touch upon. Why? Because these 12 issues are handled by somebody else, some higher authority is handling. AO cannot rectify anything out of these 12 issues. AO will have to restrict himself to carry out rectification pertaining to these 5 issues. These 12 issues contain mistake on the part of AO, that is Income Tax Authority. Income Tax Authority concerned who passed the order cannot rectify. But that does not mean mistake in these 12 issues cannot be rectified at all. Such mistakes can be rectified, but can be rectified by the concerned appellate authority wherever it is pending. Not only pending, this concept applies even if appeal is already decided, matter is already over, then also in future also AO cannot touch upon these 12 issues for the purpose of carrying out rectification. So in my notes is written no rectification possible, but I am not saying no rectification possible on these 12 issues. I am saying no rectification possible by AO. By AO. AO cannot do it, but appellate authorities can do. Can rectify such order only to the extent to which such order has not been considered and decided in such appeals or revision. Meaning thereby, in such situation, if such mistake is brought to the notice of appellate authorities, then appellate authorities are free to rectify the mistake. Okay, and then 155, rectification of other mistakes. Title of this section is rectification of other mistakes, means other than those mistakes which are talked about in section 154. 154 section talks about rectification of mistakes which are apparent on record, which means in section 155 we are talking about those mistakes which are not so apparent on record, meaning thereby at the time of passing the order there is no mistake, but some future event is giving rise to mistake. Subsequently, after passing the order, something is happening in future, down the line, maybe after 5-6 years, 10 years, 20 years, and that gives rise to mistake. In such mistake can be rectified within 4 years from the end of financial year in which future event which gave rise to mistake took place. Okay, this section 155 has 11 subsections which covers a list of 11 mistakes. Out of these 11 mistakes, none of them are relevant from exam point of view. So we are not doing this in revision lecture. Regular lecture I have taught you 8 out of 11 mistakes. Then section 157A, faceless proceeding for section 154, 155, 156 and 157. That is not to be done. That's it. Thank you very much. With that, this revision of this chapter comes to an end. See you in the next video with some other chapter. Till then, wish you all a very good luck.